Hi, it's MaryJane from Surface Design by MaryJane. Welcome. Today we're going to paint some mums. I got a reference photo from Pinterest. Here I'm starting with the centers, so I'm drawing my lines round, and as you can see at the top, they sort of circle into the center. This is quite a long video, so if you can't sit and watch it for the full length, you could also speed it up. There's a button in the right top side of the video. Putting in the stems here, creating a base for my composition. Starting to put in the orange petals here, and the center of the mum is very close together, so I'm being careful not to cover up the green center here. Using a lighter yellow, I'm continuing to put the petals in and following that inner circle. Now I'm going to start spiking out the mum from the center. Starting to spread out the petals a little bit, having a couple of longer petals along the side, but these are still at the back of the flower. The slightly darker orange, I'm now coming towards the front, and as you can see I went slightly in front of that petal that's at the back there, and it gives the illusion that I'm coming forward. And now I'm starting to vary the shape of the petal, just putting a little bit of the darker orange at the bottom of those back petals to distinguish them more from each other and give the flower a bit more depth. Just curving the petals round at the bottom there to give a more full looking bloom, and then adding more fullness. As you can see, I'm repeating those steps once again to the flower at the back. Starting to do the buds on the side, which will be smaller and won't open as much. Repeating the same steps that I did with the first flower. As you can see, I'm using a Chinese paintbrush. It carries a lot of water, so you can paint for a long time without redipping, and you can also get a very fine point, but you don't have quite as much control. Just joining the flowers to the stem with the green, and starting to branch out with leaves that are quite spiky. They have 3 prongs, so 3 points, and each point is jagged. So you can see that I'm crossing the leaves over the stem. Of course, in the real world, flowers do that. They don't all just stem off in one direction and avoid each other. I have had to speed up this a little bit, so I don't normally paint this fast, but you wouldn't get the whole movie in if I didn't speed it up a tiny bit. I've also made the leaves fall in different directions too. They're not all going in the same direction, and doing a few smaller leaves gives variety to the painting. Working with a little bit of a lighter green here, also as that flower is more towards the front, it brings the flowers, or that flower, forward. So now I'm adding the petals in the very front of the large flower, and as you can see, I've waited until the underneath part is dry, and adding a little bit more definition at the bottom of some of the different petals. Making the flower a little larger, and as you can see, some of the petals are actually going across some of the other petals. That's because they're in front, and it gives a more natural appearance. Here I'm going in with my diagonal brush, and I'm just putting in a few dark strokes to give, as you can see, the flower really starts to come alive as you put some of the deeper tones in there. More depth. I'll put some of the colors that I'm using in the description, so I have a hard time remembering some of the names, so I'll just write them in there for you. And here I'm starting to add a little bit more depth to the stems and the leaves by adding some dark bits to define veins, and also the darker part of the leaf. When you put the veins or the darker lines on your leaves, you're also helping the viewer see the actual direction of the leaf, like the one in the front there, how it's curving downwards. Also, you're defining whether the leaf is curving or folding. I'm putting a little bit of darkness on the bottom of the leaf, or the tip of the leaf, because the leaf is turning away from the light, so as it turns away it gets darker, And with the other leaves there, I'm darkening the lower part of the leaf, because at the lower part it's not getting the same light as the tip. Depending on where your leaf is, you've got to remember exactly where your light is coming from. Just adding another layer to the right side of each stem to show that the stem is also round. The light part is on the left, the dark is on the right. I was just blending the paint a little bit there because you don't want to have abrupt lines, and when you look at a leaf you don't always see every single vein. And I hope you've enjoyed following along, and I hope you give it a go, and I hope you stop in to see our next video. Thanks for watching.